Hello, my name is Richard Klein. Welcome to a presentation on getting more growth benefits with fewer growing pains. This presentation was given at the May 13, 2023 Envision Frederick County Essentials Program meeting held in Frederick, Maryland. These are the topics I'll cover in the next 15 minutes. Through these topics, I'll describe an approach that frequently resolves citizen concerns while allowing developers and growth officials to achieve most of their goals. Often, this can be accomplished at a fraction of the cost of the conventional approach to dealing with controversial growth, which is an attempt to kill a project. Please hold your questions till the end. I was with the Maryland Department of Natural Resources for 18 years, where I worked in fisheries, water quality monitoring, and ran the Save Our Streams program. I founded CEDS, Community and Environmental Defense Services, 36 years ago. Over the past 4 decades, I've developed an in-depth knowledge of a broad range of development-related land use and environmental issues. I serve as the CEDS president and principal strategist. I wrote the 2 books on the right and numerous other reports and guidance documents. I also created the CEDS website and the nearly 50 web pages on various development issues. You can reach these resources at ceds.org. CEDS is a nationwide network of attorneys and other professionals. Our network includes 264 attorneys, at least one in each of the 50 states. Each attorney was recommended by an advocacy group as having a good reputation for helping those concerned about a land use or environmental issue. Our nationwide network also includes a long list of other professionals who advise on technical issues and occasionally serve as an expert witness. But most of our cases are won without our clients having to hire an attorney or an expert witness. Each of the red dots in the U.S. map on the left is a location where we've helped folks concerned about one or more of the many issues listed on the right. Our philosophy is that an individual development project, or growth in general, should always preserve quality of life for area residents. Frequently, a project can also make existing quality of life better and should do so wherever possible. Unfortunately, far too much of what's called smart growth causes unnecessary harm to nearby residents. Here's a list of the concerns that commonly prompt our clients to oppose a development project. The concerns are listed in order of how often they trigger opposition. Most concerns are valid, some not so much. For example, we can usually help folks to understand that the benefits of multifamily housing far outweigh any negative effects to those in nearby single-family neighborhoods. Similarly, concerns about increased crime are almost always based more on fear than fact, and usually we can talk folks down from opposing solar farm projects. Here are the 2 basic approaches for resolving concerns about a proposed development project: the conventional or kill the project approach, and the CEDS equitable solutions and politically oriented advocacy approach. With the conventional approach, one hires a lawyer to kill a project by blocking issuance of a key permit or other approval. The success rate for this approach is a mere 5 to 10%, and half the projects that get killed are modified, resubmitted, then approved a year or so later. The conventional approach costs $5,000 to $15,000 for just the first hearing. Appeals to the courts fail 99% of the time, cost another $20,000 to $50,000. At most, appeals delay a project by 1 to 3 years and provide some negotiating leverage. The best outcome of this conventional approach is usually a negotiated settlement. The equitable solutions approach begins with the premise that most development projects are beneficial and only need some tweaks to resolve our clients' concerns. We call the tweaks equitable solutions. An equitable solution resolves our clients' concerns while allowing applicants to achieve most of their goals. With a conventional approach, negotiations usually don't occur until after considerable money has been spent and positions on both sides have been hardened. The equitable solutions approach puts negotiations at the beginning, not after thousands of dollars have been spent and applicants, and occasionally agency staff, have been turned into hardened adversaries, making negotiations far more difficult. In this and the next 9 slides, I'll offer examples of how an equitable solution can prevent an impact and frequently improve existing conditions. We'll use increased traffic volume on neighborhood streets as the first example. The increased traffic volume, especially cut-through traffic, can make our streets less safe, noisier, and not as enjoyable. These two graphs show that more pedestrians and cyclists are injured by motor vehicles on our local and neighborhood streets when compared to all other road types. This is the first of 2 common scenarios that increase cut-through traffic on a neighborhood street. Here you see Clark Road near Houston, Texas. The Clark Road neighborhood consists of 35 homes. As you can see, Clark Road was a dead end or a cul-de-sac neighborhood street. To the right is the Deer Creek Meadows plan. This project would have consisted of nearly 2,000 residential units generating 17,000 vehicle trips per day. This project was proposed for the large green area to the east of Clark Road. The applicant wanted to connect Deer Creek Meadows to Clark Road. The connection would provide an additional means of access for fire, ambulance, and other emergency services vehicles. It wasn't really needed for the residents of Deer Creek Meadows. Clark Road residents wanted CEDS to help them kill Deer Creek Meadows. Instead, we convinced the residents to first try negotiating with the applicant. We learned local public safety officials were requiring the connection to Clark Road. We also learned that the officials had a history of allowing alternate access roads to be gated. The gate would only be opened by emergency services personnel, thus excluding all other cut-through traffic. The applicant agreed to gate the Clark Road connection. The Clark Road residents and the applicant went before the local planning commission, which not only allowed the access gate, but made it a permit condition. On the left is the thank you message from our Clark Road clients. For the first 20 years after starting CEDS, we used the conventional kill the project approach. Equitable solutions and politically oriented advocacy makes these cases far easier and more satisfying to win. There are a number of jurisdictions around the country where planning staff are free to use approaches similar to equitable solutions. We get very few cases from these counties. I wish there were many more of these equitable solutions-oriented jurisdictions. Here's a second scenario resulting in increased cut-through traffic on neighborhood streets. As main road traffic volume and congestion increases, drivers make ever greater use of neighborhood streets to bypass traffic snarls. This cut-through traffic tends to operate at higher speeds, which is shown in the graphic on the right, increases the likelihood of crashes and injury severity. Adding traffic calming measures like speed humps as part of a development project can reduce cut-through traffic speed and volume. In a number of cases, adding calming measures can make a neighborhood street safer than it was before. Adding hiker-biker lanes or sidewalks can further enhance neighborhood quality of life and safety. Loss of natural views is another common concern. especially where realtors assured home buyers, now owners, that the view would never change. Last year, we helped residents of the Woodlands in Urbana with concerns about a rezoning request to increase the intensity of development allowed in the fields that you see here. We recommended several equitable solutions. First, shifting proposed buildings to portions of the site where they would be partially hidden by a hilltop. Second, establishing a good visual buffer of arborvitae or other dense growing evergreens to further reduce visual impact. However, the residents felt these solutions might not be sufficient. They called upon the Frederick County Council to reject the rezoning request, which is what they did. Now, on to the steps for finding and winning adoption of equitable solutions. First, we verify that our clients' concerns are valid. We then work with clients to separate their core concerns from those issues they believe increase the likelihood of killing a project. We then search for equitable solutions to each core concern. Next, we urge our clients to visit locations where the solution has been applied so they can judge effectiveness. We then negotiate with the applicant or agency staff to win adoption of these solutions our clients find acceptable, assuming, of course, all other concerns can be resolved to our client's satisfaction. Compliance is an issue which hinders equitable solution acceptance by our clients. This issue emerges when we have trouble finding a location where a solution has been fully implemented and maintained. For example, a common core concern about proposed solar farms is visual impact. However, a dense buffer of evergreen trees can usually resolve this concern. Here you see a solar farm built 7 years ago where the perimeter trees have died or grown very slowly. The trees provide very little screening. Compliance issues like this make it hard for folks to appreciate that an equitable solution really can resolve their concerns. And similar compliance issues exist with many of the other measures used to get the benefits of growth without the adverse effects to nearby residents. For example, the graph on the right shows that only 42%, less than half of the stormwater BMPs surveyed in the greater Baltimore area in 2015 were providing full aquatic resource protection benefits. A fourth had failed to the point where very little protection was provided, and another third had maintenance issues of such condition that they were likely to cause the device to fail in the near future. So when compliance is far below 100%, our clients are far more likely to opt for just killing a project. When we can't convince an applicant or an agency staff to voluntarily adopt equitable solutions, we use politically oriented advocacy to achieve this goal. The 4 steps listed here will frequently generate a showing of public support sufficient to convince elected officials to use their influence to resolve our clients' concerns. This political advocacy approach works about half the time, but it only works when our client's position is reasonable, based on facts, and within the legal authority of our elected officials. Showing substantial support among voters is essential to helping elected officials resolve concerns. The most influential voters are those who participate in every election. These frequent or super voters are a small fraction of the population, just 7% in the case of Frederick County. It's far easier to connect with a few dozen or 100 super voters when compared to the many hundreds or thousands of folks living within an impact zone. Here's an example of how we mobilize voter support, then communicate that support to elected officials. A massive landfill had been proposed for Haralson County, Georgia. The impact zone for a landfill extends out at least 2 miles, with a safe zone being at 3 miles. Existing Georgia landfills had ample capacity for the next 4 decades. Georgia is a recycling mecca. We created the online petition on the right. By signing the petition, voters were urging their county commissioners to to reject the landfill and instead launch an aggressive local recycling program. This is the letter we drafted for our clients. In the letter, we explained why the landfill wasn't needed, the likely health and property value impacts of the landfill, and how an aggressive recycling program could cut landfill needs by 50% or more. The letter was first mailed to the supervoters living within 3 miles of the landfill site. An overwhelming response then prompted us to send the letter to all impact zone residents. Each of the dots in the Haralson County aerial is the home of a petition signer. After the initial letter mailing, the campaign went viral. Eventually, 10% of all registered voters in Haralson County signed the petition. More than 2/3 added explanations for why they signed the petition. To the right are examples of these explanations. Every savvy elected official knows most folks will sign just about any petition, then forget what they signed shortly thereafter. The explanations on the right show that signers care deeply about the landfill issue and would likely remember how a decision maker acted come the next election. Without this explanation, petitions can be near worthless. The commissioners denied approval of the landfill. The Equitable Solutions politically oriented advocacy approach works not only with individual development projects, but community-wide or county-wide issues as well. The impact of some land uses to nearby residents cannot be resolved with equitable solutions. Gas stations are an example. A number of studies have shown that gas station benzene emissions can jeopardize the health of those living up to 500 feet away. There are no measures that can reliably resolve the health impact. Instead, new gas stations should be at least 500 feet from homes. We've had considerable success using equitable solutions and politically oriented advocacy to win the adoption of laws requiring a minimum separation distance between a land use type, such as a gas station, and the nearest home. Here are examples of 3 localities where we helped our clients win these laws: Fresno, California, Carmel, Indiana, and Sumner in Washington State. These laws do not preclude incompatible uses. Instead, the uses are guided to locations where we can get the benefits the use provides without causing harm to neighbors. Thank you for your patience and attention. For further detail, visit these CEDS web pages on equitable solutions, politically oriented advocacy, smart legal strategies, and mobilizing public support for preserving neighborhoods. After today, please contact me at help@ceds.org or at 410-654-3021 if we can be of any assistance. Again, thank you for your time.